Welcome to Ariadne, a unique and comprehensive compliance platform. Ariadne gives you sustainable compliance, visualized, connected, and curated. As regulation has increased in scope and complexity, costs and headcount have risen in compliance and risk functions. At the same time, the penalties for failure have become ever more severe and now threaten not only the institutions, but their senior managers. To address these dangers, most institutions have used spreadsheets or conventional database solutions, but they have found that these are inadequate and unmaintainable. Ariadne recognizes three main components in the compliance worldview: organization, regulation, and process, and together these support the institution's compliance capability. Of course, if one leg of our milking stool is removed, the whole thing falls over. So now let's have a look at the application. It runs in a browser, and selecting Process takes us to a list of processes. We'll select Onboarding. We now see the complete process map with each component identified with its own color. If we zoom onto the organization lane, we see that this shows roles, incumbents, that is, who's in the job now, and qualifications or certifications. Moving down, the handbooks lane shows regulations and policies. Moving further down still, we see a workflow diagram of the steps in the onboarding process. Here once again is the complete process map with its unique holistic view of the compliance environment. Now let's have a more detailed look. Here is the organization lane again, and now we're going to see Ariadne's unique connectivity. The role here has been identified as a CF10, and we can double click the box and go directly to the document which defines this role. Ariadne offers connectivity to any document which can be accessed with a URL, such as individual entries in the FCA register. In the same way, individual entries in regulatory or policy handbooks can be accessed directly. In this case, we have converted the Joint Money Laundering Steering Group handbook and marked up the individual sections, which can now be accessed immediately. Here is another link to the FCA handbook in the section COBS 2.2. Rather than showing only the entry referenced, Ariadne shows the entry in its documentary context. Finally, we can look at the process itself and the steps which make it up. But first, we should look at the overall diagram. We can now see the links from the roles to the steps, showing responsibilities, and from the handbook entries to the steps, which show which regulations govern those steps. We can now see the entire picture. In the process lane itself, we see the flow of steps as the process progresses, together with the links to the other components, the handbooks, and the organization. Where a process contains too many steps to be convenient on a screen, or where a set of steps are used by multiple processes, we can create a sub-process. In this case, the KYC step is represented as a single item. Double-clicking on this step brings up the KYC routine on a separate canvas below the main one. The biggest problem with traditional approaches to compliance management is maintenance and sustainability. When anything changes, whether a process, role, or regulation, it is necessary to find every instance of its use and analyze the impact. Because everything is contained in Ariadne, this is straightforward, and the search function will return every single instance and use. To see the process map where an instance has been found, we just need to double-click on the list and the process map will be shown below. It works in just the same way for any full or partial reference. Here we carry out a lookup for anyone named John. Because Ariadne contains all of the information within itself, it can also provide oversight of compliance matters. Here we have constructed a dashboard which shows how well various institutions governed by a central body have performed according to various criteria. First, a tabular version. Then a bar chart. And here's how we vary the bank chosen. Next, a cross-industry comparison, and we can choose the year whose data we want to see. And a couple of time series analyses with smoothing and a 95% confidence interval attached. We can add further criteria should we choose to do so. Or change the bank. And finally, a consolidated time series for 2 criteria. Because all diagrams can be time-stamped and saved, Ariadne can reconstruct any situation in the past. Ariadne has the power to turn a 3-month investigation into a 30-second reconstruction. And Ariadne also allows future scenarios to be modelled, shared, discussed, planned and approved, all in good time. Ariadne offers a unique way of saving headcount and effort and cost by automating the development and maintenance of the inventory of compliance. Ariadne provides a unique method of bringing together in a clear and shareable way all of the elements of compliance. Ariadne is compliance visualized, connected, curated.